Hello, I'm Gary Stearman. Welcome to another update from Prophecy Watchers. And what we're watching now is ISIS, through the back door, so to speak. A document by Sarah Carter of the American Media Institute was issued at the end of July, and it reported on a strange document, and I'm going to begin quoting here. Sarah Carter, an apparent Islamic State recruitment document found in Pakistan's lawless tribal lands, reveals that an extremist group has grand ambitions of building a new terrorist army in Afghanistan and Pakistan and triggering a war in India to provoke an Armageddon-like end of the world. This is a 32-page document in the Urdu language, and it was obtained by the American Media Institute, reviewed by a number of U.S. media sources, and deemed to be genuine. The document was reviewed by also by U.S. intelligence, and it conforms to other similar documents issued by ISIS and ISIL. The undated document is entitled A Brief History of the Islamic State Caliphate. The Caliphate, according to the prophet, seeks to unite dozens of factions of the Pakistani and Afghan Taliban into a single army of terror. Bear in mind, that would be their goal right now. It includes a never-before-seen history of the Islamic State, details chilling future battle plans, and it urges al-Qaeda to join the group and says that the Islamic State's leader, now Islamic State is ISIS, should be recognized as the sole ruler of the world's 1 billion Muslims under a religious empire called the Caliphate. Accept the fact that this caliphate will survive, it says, and it will prosper until it takes over the entire world and beheads every last person that rebels against Allah. Wow, can you imagine that? This is the bitter truth, says the document, so swallow it. Retired Defense Intelligence Agency Director Lieutenant General Michael Flynn reviewed the document, says, quote, it represents the Islamic State's campaign plan, and is something, as an intelligence officer, I would not only want to capture, but to fully exploit. It lays out their intent, he says, their goals, their objectives, a red flag to which we must pay attention. In other words, ISIS, sometimes called ISIL, the Islamic Caliphate movement, is bent on causing all countries to submit to Sharia law. Interestingly, as we look at what's going on in the world today, here's another current story out of the Middle East, and his headline, by the way, it comes from Arut Sheva, its headline, Iran deal, American Christians warn annihilation looms for the United States. And the article begins as follows: a huge interfaith campaign is uniting the efforts of millions of Christians throughout the United States to press Congress to defeat the Iran nuclear deal, warning that the leading state sponsor of terror intends to destroy the U.S. and Israel. As an aside, I might mention that you all remember Ahmadinejad, the ex-president of Iran, who spoke constantly of wiping out the United States and Israel, the U.S., the great Satan, Israel, the little Satan, and stating, as a matter of fact, that he would not rest until he brought chaos to the Middle East, ultimately destroying the enemies of Islam. And, of course, his movement believes that chaos is the instrument through which victory is going to be achieved by Islam. It's exactly what this document that I mentioned ago says. This document says if we stir up chaos to a sufficient degree, then all of the elements that are mentioned in the Quran, all of the prophecies about Islamic victory in the concluding days will actually come to pass. Well, the interfaith organization called the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, the IFCJ, which is the world's largest Christian organization supporting Israel and the Jewish people, noted that Open Doors USA ranks Iran as the world's 7th worst oppressor of Christians. I don't know who the first 6 are right offhand. But here's the interesting thing. A warning video and ad getting airtime on cable TV and social media is part of the campaign playing off the Cold War idea that there could be a nuclear explosion that would wipe out the population of the world, and Islam is bent on exploding that nuclear device. They hearken back to the year 1964 and the ad in which a little girl is shown pulling the petals off a daisy, and there's a countdown to a nuclear explosion. And they say the same thing is basically happening today. And they are airing this video. In addition to the video, the campaign has sent over 2 million emails to IFCJ's Christian allies around the world. And by the way, they're calling on the United States Congress to oppose the recent Iranian deal. Here's a quote from IFCJ. If this agreement is ratified, Americans will, for the first time in a generation, will understand what it means to have a credible threat of annihilation looming over the heads of our children, our grandchildren, and in that way we'll understand better than ever the threat that hangs over the Israelis every day. Rabbi Yechiel Eckstein of IFCJ. He is the founder and president. Both Christians and Jews must unite, he says, in order to counter the threat of radical Islam. Radical Islam. And I just read in this other document that a captured, if you will, battle plan is circulating now in U.S. intelligence circles. And this captured battle plan is a plan to incite chaos, not only all over the Middle East, but in the United States itself. And out of that chaos, they say, will come Islamic victory. That's what's going on right now. It's absolutely amazing. Of course, their prime target is Israel. And it's interesting as you read the Bible to note, and I'm reading in Psalm 118 here, where the voice of Israel is crying out. Psalm 118:5, I called upon the Lord in distress, and the Lord answered me and set me in a large place. The Lord's on my side, I will not fear. What can man do to me? The Lord takes my part with them that help me. Therefore shall I see my desire upon them that hate me. Now this is basically Israel speaking in a psalm. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. And of course, they would be the leaders of so-called allied nations. All nations compassed me about, but in the name of the Lord will I destroy them. They compassed me about. That is, they surrounded me like bees. They are quenched as the fire of thorns. For in the name of the Lord, I will destroy them. That's the Israeli point of view, speaking through the pages of the Bible, the verses of Psalm 118. Yes, Israel is surrounded. But I believe there's a faction in Israel, and I believe that Benjamin Netanyahu himself trusts the Lord. And you know what? That's all it takes. There are so many prophecies that we read, and you've heard me read a lot of them here in these updates, that speak of Israel's victory against a marauding enemy. And I really and truly believe that that's about to happen. We are very, very close to seeing that battle foretold by so many of the prophets. But Israel's going to be victorious. So be watching for that. We are. You be watching too. I'm Gary Stearman. Have a great day in the Lord, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.